we are far down under, right next to the Antarctica, whereas here we are close to the Arctic. So I might just give you a little bit of a background about Australia. So we are 27 million population. We have about roughly just about 300,000 births per year. Australia has got a universal health care, 100% funded. Say, for example, if the baby needs the highest care like an ECMO, they don't have to pay anything. So as long as you have the Medicare card, so that is for the permanent residents and for the Australian citizens, it is a completely free. Anything in the hospital, 100% free. In fact, people make a comment, if you need an urgent care in Australia, even including the Prime Minister, you are better off going to the public hospital to get the immediate care that is necessary. So, and every taxpayer pays the Medicare levy, 1 to 1.5%. As far as the NICUs are concerned, we have 24 tertiary NICUs in Australia, plus another 5 in New Zealand, so total 29 within the ANZ. And all the babies that are less than 32 weeks gestation, they are taken care of in the tertiary intensive care units. Even if they are born at home or outside a tertiary hospital, they get transferred to the tertiary NICU soon after birth. We have a dedicated retrieval team or a transport team that take the baby from that hospital to the tertiary care. And we have about 3,500 babies less than 32 weeks per year. I think people from, some of my colleagues from US, they might be seeing this one. This was there on news everywhere, I think a few months ago. So this is world's most premature baby, Nash, born in the state of Iowa. And it went on to a Guinness Book of World Record. I was born at 21 weeks, 285 grams. I know, we are, these kind of things are almost unheard of. But I think with the population, the birth rate is going down, and the more and more we are going towards taking care of premature babies. At the moment in Australia, we are down to 22 weeks gestation. So I think the survival rates have gone higher and higher for higher gestation age groups, and now it is moving the same way in the lower gestation age group. So this is our Australia-New Zealand network. I think Professor Kiluyi has put it before. And this is where I work. And you can see the Royal Hospital for Women here. And we have a brand new hospital campus there. And even though I am showing you the beautiful brand new building on the left side, so that was built about a year ago. In Australia, the policy is generally, they say every 30 years, we get a new hospital. So they demolish the old hospital, they build a new hospital. So we moved into this, my Royal Hospital for Women, we moved into this building in 1997. So I am hoping in 2 years' time, government will give us some money to build a new hospital. And my hospital is very close to the Sydney Harbour. And this is what happens in my place. We are both a surgical and a perinatal unit. We have about 3,500 births happening within the hospital. And we have about 1,000 admissions to our ICU and about 140 to 160 less than 32 weeks. And we are one of the two, what we call the highest quaternary care NICUs in Sydney, one in the eastern suburbs, one in the western suburbs. And we are in the eastern suburbs. And this is just to give you a little bit of a background about our ICU. The Sydney is a huge area, geographically very wide demography and very wide geography. So that's why we have 10 neonatal intensive care units. and that's why they look like they are the medium-sized units. Ours is the largest in Sydney with 47 beds. And so this is our, I don't know, you can see my cursor moving there, probably not. So the one on the right side, the rightmost is the level 3. The one is also, the middle is also the level 3 area. The one in the leftmost is the special care nursery area. Let me see if this video we can play. Doesn't seem to play. I just wanted to show you give you a little bit of a background on how our unit works. Okay, so the reason why I have given this background is that Australia is a very close-knit community. I think this is where we have a very good collaboration, very good networking of all the intensive care units, all the special care nurseries, particularly in the neonatal facilities. We all work as one single unit, even though we are widespread. So as Keelui was mentioning before, we have an excellent neonatal network, and I think that has helped us in benchmarking as well as competing with each other and improving our outcomes. So what we have been doing, I think this is something you may see that this is probably a little bit high tech, and but I think some of the principles that we have followed here may be useful for other countries as well. What we have been doing in the last 20 years, because we know whether the baby comes to Sydney or whether the baby goes to the most remote area, they have a similar sort of problems, isn't it? If the baby is born premature, usually the respiratory distress, and babies need nutrition and the ventilated support. So wherever the baby goes, we know that the principles of management are the same. So that's where we thought all the units should come together, and we should all come up with a standardized approach to the management. Whether you are in a tertiary care in Sydney or whether you are far remote in the Darwin area, we wanted to achieve the same. So everyone talks about the respiratory management, that we all love our machines, isn't it, when you're working in the ICU. So what we thought for the standardized care is other important things like nutrition. That is something that the people focus less. And especially if you have a very sick baby, you may be able to put them on the ventilator and save their life. But I think it is most important, unless you give them proper nutrition. It could be breast milk, it could be donor milk, or it could be vitamins, iron, whatever it is, whatever is the appropriate nutrition that the baby needs, we got to make sure we are delivering it properly. And that's what we have done since 2010. I might skip through some of these slides. And we achieved the whole nation. We follow the same parenteral nutrition. We have standardized TPN bags everywhere in Australia. So if a baby needs a TPN, they just ring the Baxter company, the commercial company, and if you order it before 10 a.m. in the morning, by 5 p.m., any hospital anywhere in Australia, they deliver them. And it is a fixed price wherever you go in Australia. And so when we did that, we were, they didn't give us any funding, but they gave us a plaque of award, and that's what it is in 2012. And so we managed to publish our consensus formulations. And so this is one of the Cochrane analysis that we have done, what level of amino acids that we should be giving. And this is something that we run it every 2 to 3 years, this consensus nationwide. And because our evidence changes and we need to keep ourselves up to date, there is no point for me to design a solution and just go to sleep. We got to keep up to date. We need to be agile, dynamic, and be, keep up with the evidence that is coming up. So that's what we do. Every 3 to 4 years, we run the nationwide consensus, and we changed our formulations again, and we publish these, and we also look at it again after implementation of these solutions, how well the babies have done. And the latest consensus, we did it in 2022, 2023. We haven't published this manuscript yet, but so this is something that we have been doing. So I might just give you some idea. So this is our TPN fridge. You can see the number of bags that we have in our ICU. The blue bags are all the lipids, and the gray bags, all types of amino acid bags. Because if you have a baby with low blood sugar, the doctor do not have to prescribe everything because you make so many mistakes. If you rely on the junior doctor sitting there at the bedside, he can make a lot of mistakes for prescribing every patient. So what we have done, okay, you choose 5% extra solution, which has got lipids and vitamins and amino acids in it. So like that, they just choose a simple bag, and and the nursing staff, they just hang those bags there. And this TPN is available 24/7. So if I have a baby admitted right in the middle of the night with the severe hypoglycemia, I don't need to worry about preparing the solution. The bag is already there. Doctor has to simply write it. Nurse just goes in, picks it up from the fridge, and then they hang it to the baby. That's it. And so this has been working beautifully for us. And so I might quickly skip through this. Based on this consensus, because we were able to manage to bring all the units in Australia together, now we have moved on to what we call Australian Neonatal Medicine's Formulary. This is where what we have been doing is, instead of every unit developing their own drug protocol. For example, if you want to give simple benzyl penicillin, simple paracetamol, every unit has got a slightly different protocol, how to prepare it. Everyone has got a slightly different. Why do we have to do that when the babies are all of the same? All of the units are equally funded, so we do not really need to have unit-based protocol. So we brought everyone together. Every unit is represented by their pharmacist, by their nurse, by their senior doctor. We all got together, and we have done the formularies now. And this was based on one case example where we had a baby that was about 2013. We had a baby who moved from a non-tertiary hospital, very sick baby, and the baby already received, we still use benzyl penicillin and gentamicin as our antibiotics. I know like a lot of other places might be using a completely different. Fortunately for us, the bugs that we have, 90% of the bugs are still sensitive to benzyl penicillin and gentamicin. And we have a very strict antimicrobial resistance, like a stewardship program, and we are managing to keep those bugs, still sensitive to these simple antibiotics. If I want to use a ciproflox, if I want to use a meropenem, if I want to use any other higher cephalosporins, I cannot prescribe it myself as the doctor. I need the authority from the higher up. For example, infectious disease specialist to tell us, okay, you can actually give it. So that kind of a stewardship program helped us to restrict the antibiotics. So, for example, in this case, gentamicin was given to the baby. Then baby was shifted to my unit, and we didn't know their protocol. We have our own protocol. So we ended up giving another dose of gentamicin, and the dose that they used was a slightly bigger dose, and they use it in a longer, like a frequency interval. So baby ended up having too much gentamicin. And, subsequently there was a hearing loss as well. And so then we went back and looked at all the units. We thought, why can't we all have just one simple? And the people who are fighting about 0.5 milligram per kilo dose difference, because we're all passionate people, isn't it? We all have, we all have our own way of doing things. We just don't want to probably, like a little bit of resistance to make change. But we managed to bring everyone together, and we managed to come up with a statewide guide, and now we have got a nationwide, simple, single, standardized formulary. And now we have the principle of right drug, right reason, right dose, right frequency, and the right way. And our formularies, if you Google anmfonline.org, so Australasian Neonatal Medicine's Formulary, it is open access, freely available, anybody, anywhere in the world, because that's the decision we made. We thought whatever we are writing, the evidence-based formulary, because there are no commercial companies involved, these are all clinician-driven, clinician-written formularies, so we thought we should make it available right across the globe, open, free. So they are still available, and we keep ourselves up to date. And you can see just in the last 1 week, these were the number of users, because we keep a track of how many people are utilizing our formularies. So we have over 300 formularies available. I don't think we have covered most of the high-end antibiotics that you may be using, because that was a deliberate decision. In Australia and New Zealand, our policymakers decided not to put these kind of rare, weird antibiotics on the formulary, just to make it feel that anybody, like we have given green signal for everybody to use it. But other than that, you have everything available there. So these are the important sections there. First of all, what we have done is the alert section. Before you actually prescribe the drug, you need to know, are there any specific things that you need to know about a particular drug? So I have given one example there. And then the trade names. Paracetamol, I'm sure you would have hundreds of preparations of paracetamol. And so we have tried to restrict the main good brands onto the trade name list. And then we have given a different dosages for the different indications. So we have given clear instructions. And then the most important thing is the serious mistakes, where the mistakes happen, where you scratch your heads. Why my baby is not responding is that not about what you have written on the script, what actually the nursing staff are giving it at the bedside, how they are preparing it, how they are actually giving it. Are they giving it in the right, are they giving it very quickly, or are they mixing it with many medications? These are all the important things. So we think, okay, I have written my medicine, so it should work. But actually, there are so many other things that we should be focusing on at the bedside. So we have focused on the adverse effects as well. And this is the most important thing, the compatibilities. When you are trying to dilute some medicines, whether they can actually mix well or not. They may be forming, like crystals, like when you are adding two drugs. It is very, very important we all get to know all these things. And then the most important thing, before you give the medicine, is there actually real evidence for what we are doing? So that is where, this is the beauty of these formularies, and to the best of our knowledge, nowhere else in the world you can actually see the comprehensive evidence written that is open, freely available to everyone. And this is how it goes, our evidence summaries. And just in the last 12 months, like now, our focus is changing to standardized concentrations. And also we are moving. We want to make ourselves environmentally sustainable. At the moment, for any infusions, we take a 50 ml syringe and we prepare everything in 50 mils. But now we are planning to move to 20 ml syringe and a 20 ml volume, because our babies are tiny. They don't need more than 20 mils in a day. So that is how we are doing it. And the third thing is the renal dose. If the baby is in renal failure, whether we need to make a dose adjustment, that is where another thing we are trying to come up with a consensus. And then inborn errors of metabolism. If you have a baby somewhere, very remotely, admitted with a serious metabolic disorder, the staff there, the remote pediatrician or the remote general practitioner or the nurse, they need emergency drugs at hand, what to use, and that information is readily available. I think I might skip through some of these renal dose adjustment, what we are doing at the moment. So this is what we have got there. We have got the protocols for sodium benzoate. We have got the protocol for arginine. You have got the protocol for sodium phenylbutyrate, pyridoxine, pyridoxal 5-phosphate, any rare condition that you want to treat. And if you're looking for an immediate answer for a drug, how to give it, what dose and everything, so they're all available online. And so I might skip this, some of these slides we have just because of the time constraints. Excipients. I recently heard about, I think this happened only a few weeks ago, is that right? There was an overdose of one of the excipients in the cough syrup, and that led to unfortunate death of 23 children in India. This is what we heard. And this is something, again, that we have been working on. One thing we never focus is when you take a box, if a rep comes to you, if he says that, oh, okay, can I tell you about this paracetamol? We only look at the box and we say, oh, okay, there is a paracetamol written on it. But we never look at what are the additional things that they have added to that medicine. All the excipients are important. You need to add them to make the drug stay in our tablet or a capsule form for many months. That's why you have the expiry date. So excipients are important. But at the same time, these excipients, if they cross a certain dose, they can be very harmful. They can kill the baby. So we may be making unintended, we may be leading to unintended consequences. You think by giving a drug, how come this baby is not responding? That could be because you are not focusing on what other poisons or excipients that a particular brand of a medicine has got. So please focus on those things as well. And in fact, in Australia, where there is such a highly regulated, pharmaceutical industry, even then, just last month, we have figured out there are about 42% of the formulations, they're not life-threatening or anything. They just crossed the, allowed daily intake. So now we are working with the pharmaceutical companies and the regulatory authorities to see how best that can be reduced. They are nowhere near anything like a safety, across the safety limits, but that is the regulatory limit that they have put in, and we are trying to make sure that we bring the levels down. So this is the website that I was mentioning, and if you Google this one, and you will be able to get to all our formularies that are there. And maybe if you get a chance, because in 2016 I was in Uppsala. I went to the Uppsala hospital and we were learning NAVA ventilator here in 2016. So this is the second time I come. This is my team here. It's not only the hardworking. In the evening time we go out and enjoy our time. And so this is, I just put this photo just to cheer you up. This mom is a 24-weeker. Apparently, I looked after her about 26 years ago. And her grandma recognized me. And she came and told me, hey, Srini, you were very young with, you looked after mom. And she came back and gave a birth to her own premature baby. And so I had the privilege to look after her last year. So, thank you.